Alright, so welcome everyone to yet another installment of the Elden Ring Story Lore. I am Mr. Romo Roses, and today we're going to be talking about another character slash build that I made in the game. Talk about like how they came to be. Um, talk about the origin per se. Talk about how they came to be in the game, how they came to be in the land between, and all that just jazz. Excuse me. So last time I did this, I talked about Search of the Small. Reason for it mainly was because, um, due to a Twitter poll that I made, people said that, well, people voted that I should end Search of this little story thing at base game, and not take her to the DLC like I have with Pay and even Infallible, which I might do a thing in the future about, talking about Infallible and everything like that as well. Um, but yeah, today I'm going to be talking about the very character being that you see before you here, which is known best as Horrormancer Pay. So, Horrormancer Pay is based off of an actual friend. Is based off an actual friend of mine. She goes by. She's known by like a few different names here and there, depending on like what you use. Um, Whenever I first met her, she was known as Pagan Pixie before she changed her thing to Horrormancer. Um, and I think I remember meeting her through an old friend of mine, and I say old because we're not really friends anymore, but I believe I met Pei through an old friend because I think, um, and this just from what I can kind of recall, I might have it somewhat twisted a little bit, but, well, but I'm just kind of just going from off a random slight memory. But I believe one random day, um, I was watching the Inverted Shadow because I often like to, watch him do his thing, whether it be like, playing games or, doing some animation of some sort. And I believe this old friend, who I will not be naming, suggested about raiding into Pay because I think like they were known to, I think because I think like they were known to be like a supporter and stuff of hers at the time. I think Inverted Shadow was curious about the idea, and and I believe that's kind of how those two met, and I believe that's how I met, and I believe that's also how I met Pei. So, I don't know if I followed her channel on that same day of when we raided to her, but um, but I've been known to hang around the Grove ever since, aka her little home, her community that she likes to refer to it, if you will. And I've had a good time there, like, I've had a good time there, and I've met some met some really cool people and everything. And and me and Pei have become pretty good friends, even though we don't talk a whole lot or do or like play games a lot together. But you know, I say that we are still pretty good friends, and what more can you ask for, right? But over time, I was known to get. I was kind of like known to getting into the Soulsborne universe, if you will. And I remember one random day that I decided to try and make pay in Bloodborne, and I remember talking to Pay about it. And I was like, hey, would you be cool if I made you in a video game? And she seemed pretty ecstatic about it. She loved the ideas and everything like that. So, um, with her, with her blessing and everything like that, the first time I made Pei in a video game was in Bloodborne, as I made her into Mistress Pagan. Mistress Pagan, um, I'd say for the most part, like that was a pretty special little build to me because even though Pei is not able to always count around my little streams and possibly others as well, um, but I do remember like how she kind of stopped by and hung out for a few minutes and everything like that, and and I remember like, and I remember that she kind of had a bit of a helping head. Sorry about that, but I remember Pei had a bit of a helping hand into making into making her Mistress Pagan self, version of herself in the game. Even though like Bloodborne and Elden Ring are not really her cup of tea, even though I still strongly feel to this day that Pei would probably be more of a Bloodborne than an Elden Ring player, which because like she's known to be in the horror and stuff like that, and you know, it's like two and two together, it would make like the perfect scenario in my opinion. But I remember when Pei was doing stream here and there quite a bit, that she hung around my stream a little bit before she had to go do her thing, and she actually put her little 2 cents in about what she liked about some parts of the character. And to me, that honestly made the build more special to the point where it's like, even she had a piece for herself in that build, especially if I'm like, putting her 2 cents in or something like, hey, I like this, this looks good, this, that, and the other. And it's a build that I still have, and it's a character that I still have on Bloodborne to this very day. And I will never, ever get rid of it. Excuse me. Um, and so time and things had passed, and I decided to do another little fan run. Actually, kind of dubbed it with her being an Elden Ring. I apologize for the coughing and everything like that. But but yeah, when it came to Elden Ring, there was kind of like a little situation where me and Pei kind of talked a little bit here and there. And she liked the ideas. She loved seeing people, do like fan runs of her in video games, stuff like that, and everything. And I was like, hey, I can, do that and everything like that. And I remember the one thing that we talked about when it came to her build in Elden Ring was the weapons of choice. Um, because Pei's known for one kind of quote unquote weapon in particular, if you will, and that is whips. Um, if you were to be if you were on her, if you've seen her streams and everything like that, sometimes you're more likely to see where she'll bust out a whip and everything like that for various reasons per se. um, so me and my friend Onyx, also known as Onyx the Gaming Machine, um, we were kind of like brainstorming stuff and things here and there, and Onyx was the one who came up with the original build idea for Pei. Um, she was the one to originally have like two giant red braids, which is basically like two giant fire whip type things, if you will. But things didn't really work out too well. Things didn't really work out too well. So um, we ended up doing a little bit of a thing where it was like we kind of rebirthed her or respect her character and everything. And we use these weapons. I don't know exactly how the fuck you say the second part of it, but we use these weapons that came from the DLC, aka Shadow of the Earth Tree from Elden Ring. From what we like refer to as the Curse Blades circles or circuits or whatever. Um, they were these like round, they were like these round circular like blade things that if you were to do an actual war with them, you would kind of do like a bit of a spin thing in the air, followed up by a possible stomp, like a foot stomp on the ground, if you were to try to follow up with it. Um, and Pei was known to have was known to have like pretty big armor on her character because of the whole situation, with poise and defense, and all that jazz. Um, but over time, like, that was, but over time though, like, that was known to be kind of like the main thing with, with her, with her build. Like, I would be using, I'd be using like two of those Curse Blade circle weapon things, because I believe you can do because I believe you can do what I think called power stancing them, from what I can recall, um, and everything like that. And yeah, I played, I did a playthrough of Pei and Elden Ring, and she was one of the characters that she was one of the builds that I made where she had gotten a completely different ending as part of the little achievement hunting that I was kind of doing at the time. Pei was known to get, I believe it was called like the Age of Stars ending, where you basically do all of Ronnie's quest line, and then once you beat the final boss, which aka the Elden Beast, um, there will be a blue summon sign where you can go summon Ronnie into that area, and she does her thing, and then go from there. Uh, now, now over time, like whenever I was playing, playing the game and everything like that, I kind of changed some things up. Like I kind of like did change some things up, did some more stuff and things with Pei's character and all that, and I guess you could say this, and I guess this would be kind of like going into the story slash lore, if you will, of Pei coming into the lands between and her adventures and stuff, throughout. So, and I'm doing this is me attempting to do like a little story type of thing. So forgive me if I'm not like the best at it, but here we go. So the story thing, if you will, is that Pei was known to get into pretty much the thing is that Pei got into the lands between because of how she went through a teleport because now she's known to like do teleportation and having like the ability to make like a portal thing that would lead from one place to another. Um, the story here, if you will, is Pei was trying to come back from the realm of shadows because she went to go see her friend, the Inverted Shadow. Um, and the reason for it is because they had recently that were doing a little collab thing together because every so often or now and then they like to be able to get together and play some games together, like Dead by Daylight, for example. Now, no, I believe Pei herself has said it from time to time that, druid magics, portals, things like that, sometimes they can be a little bit wonky or a little bit finicky, if you will. Well, unbeknownst to her, until it was really too late, um, she made a portal home back to her realm of her place of the Grove. Um, she, she went through it like normal, nothing, no limbs or stuff, were missing and, things like that. And then she, she went through, she saw a couple of big double doors that would normally lead her into, um, into the Grove and everything. And she thought, maybe all was well. But when she opened the doors, she noticed something a little bit strange. She ended up in a place that she had never been before. Um, and that place happened to have been the Lands Between. Um, and before she realized, that she had made a bit of a miscalculation or whatever, or that her magics had kind of failed her. She had, um, well, basically, like in a nutshell, like the portal that she came through had disappeared, and it's seemingly her her tattoos and stuff on her arms had disappeared as well. Some have said that that was like the source of her powers or her magic per se, but yeah, you can think about that as you will. So, trapped in a strange new world that she had no idea about, she decided to try and figure out what was going on. Maybe see about trying to figure out how to get home. Um, she ended up in an old abandoned church called Church of El. Um, she met a merchant there named Kale, um, who was known to be selling a few things here and there, but unfortunately for pay, she didn't have the currency in order to really get anything. But then, close to what seemed like a bonfire, or in this case was a grace, um, she, she, as in Pei, had saw a red summon sign thing that she had no idea about. She was hesitant at first on touching the thing, but she ended up, but her curiosity ended up getting the better of her. So she ended up touching this thing, and she ends up getting transported to another person's realm. Um, and in this realm, she had met a person that gave her a lot of stuff and everything to help her survive the lands between, from the armor to weapons, even the currency that was pretty much known to be a thing in the lands between. So with her with her newfound gear and weapons and everything like that set, Pei ventured off into hopefully trying to find a way to get back home. Um, Now she had some tough obstacles. She had some tough obstacles here and there, but she never gave up for one bit. Um, and then one day she somehow learned about the ability to resurrect someone from the dead, and she ended up resurrecting an old warrior that was known to be that was known to be in the lands between that had lost her life in the heat of battle. I believe that that being was known as Lady Tenebris. Um, so Pei basically ended up reviving Lady Tenebris, and she became more or less like an acolyte to Pei. And so, um, from that, and pretty much like from that point on, Lady Tenebris often helped outpay as much as she could, and vice versa. And at one point in time, Pei had the idea of kind of knighting Lady Tenebris, if you will. Um, she kind of did a bit of a thing to where she knighted Lady Tenebris as Lady Crow. She was kind of, and she kind of had the idea of having her be like her first Paven warrior, if you will. So with the new name set, so with the new name and newfound armor and stuff set, they continue on their journey. Now, along the way, it seemed as though like things were, you know, it seemed as though like things were kind of getting on the right track. It seemed like there's possibly like a way for Pei to maybe find their way back home and everything. And so Pei decided it would be the right thing to do for Lady Tenebris, aka Lady Crow, to allow her to be free. To be free, to let her do her own little thing and everything like that, and live her life out as the way she sees fit. Um, and then Pei goes and fights. Um, Pei goes and Pei ends up going to fight. I believe it was Radigan, which is pretty much going to be like one of the first, like one of the final bosses in Elden Ring. Now, I cannot remember if Lady Tenebris was helping her out or not, or if Pei might have went solo. But she ended up fighting them, and then she came, one-on-one, face-to-face with the Elden Beast. Now, it was a bit of a tough battle, but with the ability to use Torrent, aka her trusty steed, that she was given and everything, she was able to, beat, the Elden Beast, and pretty much summon Rani to have a different type of outcome, which was the Age of Stars ending. Now, over the course of Pei's journey in the lands between, um, she ended up becoming a bit of a helper, if you will. She would often try and help people out as much as she can by sending her gold sign to what's known as summoning poles, which is actually the thing that you see um, in the back there, the little like Y looking like that Y shaped looking thing. And Pei started to become stronger. She started to become stronger. In more ways than one. Like she learned new incantations and things like that, and she even and even her body started to grow in muscles as well. Um, and I believe in her journey she was known to actually consume the heart of various dragons that she had defeated along the way. And with it, and with the more hearts that she had eaten, and the more dragons that she had defeated, her eyes suddenly became something completely different. Her eyes became golden, if you will. Um, and it kind of like changed her mood a little bit, but she did not lose herself to the power or the control of this new form, if you will. Um, and with it, she also kind of had a bit of a new goddess form, if you will, because she's known to be because Faye herself is known to have a few different forms here and there. One of which is known to be like the druid goddess, if you will, and I guess you could say like the markings and stuff all came about was the stuff that was the you know the stuff the things on her around her eyes, anything like that, looking like some sort of mask and stuff, if you will. Um, and yeah, and also over time, her hair became her hair still kind of retained the red look, but became not as bright and not as bold, if you will, but it still retained the redhead look that she's known for. Now, over the course of the journey and stuff as well, Pei decided to try out new looks, something that's not going to be heavy armor and stuff, if you will. And for the longest time, she was known to wear patches attire and everything like that, if you will. Um, from like the top piece, even the pants, if you will. Which the pants are still pretty much the thing that she wears even to this day, because it reminded her of what she was known to wear back in her world. Even with her even with her VTuber model and stuff like that as well. But she had a bit of an idea for a different look for the top piece, and not knowing exactly as to what to do at first. She wore patches as her top piece for a little while until she came across something was more that she thought was more of her style, her fashion, if you will. Um, so with enough farming, if you will, she managed to get a drop of the top piece that she wanted to experiment with, and with her ability to alter, different garments and stuff, if you will, she decided to take the white clothing stuff off the top piece and make this new top of hers as her own. And this is and thus you and that's what you see before you right now. Now, as far as the headpiece goes, she didn't have her trusty goggles that she is known to wear and everything like that. So she was given what was called the Circlet of Light, and it kind of boosted her stats a little bit and everything. It also made her have the ability to have a bit more of an item discovery, so that way so that way some things that may be a little bit rare in droppage could, you know, maybe get a little bit more higher up, if you will. But one day, she had heard about a place called the Realm of Shadow, and in her mind, she thought that this might have been the Realm of Shadows, and she thought to herself, maybe this be the place that I need to go in order to hopefully get back to my home, to the Grove. And after doing some investigation, she went back to the Moglin Palace Dynasty area, where she fought Moog, Lord of Blood. And in that area, there was a woman who was not always known to be there before. Um, and this woman told her to touch the hand that came out that was coming out of this giant egg-looking thing, and she would be and that Pei would be transported to the realm of shadow. Not really giving it a second thought or anything like that, Pei did just that. She touched the hand, and she got transported to the realm of shadow. Now, she knew right away that this. Now she had a feeling right away that this was not quite the realm of shadows that she was expecting, or at least this might have been like the possibility of a side of the realm of shadows that she didn't even know about, and that Inverted Shadow himself never even mentioned about. But nonetheless, though, Paige decided, to continue onward and hopefully, continue finish her little story, if you will, to hopefully get back to her realm, to her grove and everything. Now, now, it was not an easy journey, and I know this might sound cliche and everything like that, but things were definitely much more tougher than what had happened in the lands between. There was many deaths along the way, but overall, Paige persevered. She kept, her eyes on the prize. She was focused and locked in. And slowly but surely, she managed, to pull through and reach supposedly what seemed to be the end. There was one, but the end had a giant roadblock in the form of Radon. Now, Pei knew of Radon because Pei had actually fought him before. Um, because of the whole Radon festival in the Kaled area. And she wondered to herself, how is he alive? How did he get back? Like who, what trickery is this and everything? And with another being that was pretty much known to kind of be the one that brought Radon back to the living, if you will. Um, it made things even more hard to deal with when it came to fighting Radon, to the point where Pei, even though she didn't have a problem with it, but she decided to she thought it was probably best to summon people from other worlds. So she ended up getting some help, and eventually she managed to, she managed to end up beating Radon, and you know, getting, and thus ending the story, if you will. Now, pretty much after the defeat of Radon, um, she made a little climb from where Radon was known to make a little entrance from, because that place also happened to act as like a portal, if you will. Um, and she was able to basically, get back. It was basically like in a nutshell. She was able to get back into her home, into her realm of the Grove, and thus, thus finishing her story. Now, in terms of like anything else to really mention, about Pei, at least as far as her character here, um, Pei, Horrormancer Pei is known to pretty much be a collector of sorts. Like she's gonna be like a collector of weapons, of armor, of incantations, and all that other stuff. You know, she's known to always be up for experimenting with things, always trying maybe like to test herself on, see what she could be able to do with, with what she has been given or what she has found and everything like that. And she's always known to try and lend people. She's always known to try and lend aid to people whenever she can. By, again, like I said, something, sending her a golden sign to summoning pool throughout, throughout the whole realm. Whether it be the lands between or even the realm of shadow. Um, she's not, quite like she's not quite like, the best warrior that you've ever seen, but she will try her damnedest to, see things through to the end. And the one thing that she never really does much of, compared to what other people might, is do invasions. The only time she would ever really would do any type of invasion, if you will, is if the mood kind of strikes her. Meaning like say if the mood kind of like hits her in a way that doesn't leave her in quite the happy mood, if you will. But overall, Pei is known to be a helper to those who want it slash need it, and and she still continues to lend aid to this day, as best as she can. Even with her wearing what one would consider to be like the casual look and not having to always, don and be donned in the battle ready armor stuff, if you will. But yeah, uh, um, that is the story of Horrormancer Pain. I hope you guys have enjoyed, listening in and everything. I do apologize again for, the coughing moments and things like that, and also having to kind of like, mute my mic and everything like that as well. But again, I hope you all have enjoyed and everything and all that. I may do this again with another character if the mood hits me or something like that. But um, if you like what you see, but if you like what you saw or heard or anything like that, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and everything, and feel free to follow me on Twitch to catch me live, playing various games, including Elden Ring and everything like that. And until I see you all in the next video or live stream, as always, take care everybody, and I hope you all have a good week or weekend.